I'll be finishing my schedule discussion and point spread prediction videos with Virginia, mm, a horrible team that there's really nothing good to say about, and they have a terrible football program. They're going to be awful this year. They're going to be like Colorado bad, and they never have a great team and rarely even have an average team. And they've won 6 games in these past 2 seasons combined, winning 3 games each of the last 2 seasons. And their defense was horrible last year, ranking at 117 in points allowed at 33.8, and their offense just barely made it in the top 100 in points per game at 23.3, which is bad. Uh, and I'm only making this video for if there's any of all 10 of Virginia's fans out there that like to watch my channel, because I have no interest in Virginia's football team. Uh, so uh, mm, on here in the non-conference, they get one given win, the opener against Richmond. They should blow them out. And then the rest of the non-conference is going to be tough. That game against Notre Dame on the road, there's no chance that Virginia could win that one. Notre Dame will beat them up really bad. Uh, and Maryland, uh, I think that's a likely loss. It's not like it would be impossible. Maryland's not going to be as good, but I still think they have a better roster than Virginia does. And then on the road at Coastal Carolina, that's not a given win at all for uh, Virginia, because Coastal Carolina, actually, I've heard, is one of the better non-Power Four teams. So they could possibly beat an awful Power Four team like Virginia. Virginia, right now, to me, looks like the worst team in the ACC, and the ACC is no doubt the worst conference in uh, the Power Four now. So that's pretty bad for them. And in the conference schedule, they do avoid Florida State and NC State, which is good news. Those will be two of the best teams, and then also Miami, another team that's probably going to be really good that they avoid in the conference. And though they do play Louisville, which it is very likely going to be a loss, and then on the road at Clemson. I don't trust Clemson anymore against really good teams, but Virginia is the opposite of that, a really bad team, and there's no way that Virginia would go into Death Valley and beat Clemson. I think Clemson probably will blow them out. Uh, and Virginia Tech on the road. And, there's no chance that Virginia could beat Virginia Tech this year. Both teams have been in the garbage can for a while, but Virginia Tech seems to be coming out of the garbage can while Virginia is staying in it. And I think Virginia Tech will spank their bottoms blue. And SMU, I wouldn't give them much of a chance in that one either. Uh, mm, and so on the road at Wake Forest is a game that maybe Virginia could win, but I still think it's going to be tough. Mm, and Boston College, that's one that they could possibly win. And North Carolina, Virginia actually did go on the road and upset North Carolina last year. That was the one good thing that they did last year, and of course, it didn't turn out to be as impressive as it looked at the time, because at the time North Carolina was undefeated and ranked in the top 10, but North Carolina only ended up being an 8-win team. But still, that was a pretty good win because they were a much better team than Virginia was last year. And I'm not high at all on North Carolina this year. And now this is at home. and North Carolina has been an expert at losing games that they shouldn't, like to Virginia. I wouldn't say that Virginia has no chance to beat North Carolina again this year. And then Pittsburgh on the road. It's nice to get a week off in between that game and the North Carolina game. Maybe they could pull an upset there, but uh, of all of these games, except for that uh, opener there, that they'll have a good chance in, or at least a little bit of a chance. They're still going to be the underdog in all of them, so probably they'll pull off a few of them, but they're not going to win all of them, not even close. So now I'll move on to the point spread prediction. So, games in the green are games where I think Virginia will be favored by a blowout, 20 or more points, and there's one of those Richmond games in the black or toss-up games, which means at least right now there wouldn't be a favorite, and there's one of those Coastal Carolina games in the gray or games where I think that Virginia will be an underdog by about a field goal, 1 to 5 points, and there's four of those: Wake Forest, Boston College, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh. Games in the yellow are games where I think that Virginia will be an underdog by about a touchdown, 6 to 9 points, and there are four of those: Maryland, Louisville, SMU, and Virginia Tech. Games in the orange are games where I think Virginia will be the underdog by double digits, but not a blowout, so 10 to 19 points. And there's two of those: Clemson and Notre Dame. So Richmond, Virginia should be favored in that one by around 30 points. But Coastal Carolina, I would have that in the pink if it was at Virginia, which those games would mean that Virginia would be about a field goal favorite. But on the road, and Virginia being an awful Power Four team, and Coastal Carolina being one of the better non-Power Four teams, I don't really think Virginia will be favored in that game, possibly by a little bit, or I wouldn't even be shocked if Coastal Carolina was a small favorite in that game. Uh, and Wake Forest, I think they'll probably be favored by about three in that game over Virginia. And Boston College, I think they'll be favored by probably like three over Virginia. And then North Carolina, I think they'll probably be about a 5 point favorite in that game because they still have a much better roster than Virginia does. And Pittsburgh, I think they'll probably be the favorite by about 3 points over Virginia. And Maryland, I think the spread in that one will be about 6 points, probably, or maybe seven. And then Louisville, I think uh, the spread in that one will be about 9 points. And SMU, I think they'll be about a 6 point favorite in that game. And then Virginia Tech, I think because it's a rivalry, the spread will probably be around 9 points. But I would be shocked if Virginia Tech only won by nine. Uh, and Clemson. I think the spread in that one will be close to 20 points, like 18 or 19. And then the same with Notre Dame. I think uh, Virginia will be an underdog by like 18 or 19 points to them. So they will have to pull a couple of upsets to even get as many wins as they did last season. And there's no chance that Virginia will go to a bowl game this year. Uh, but that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow.